Judge Kathleen Sutula, Judge Shirley Strickland Saffold, thank you for sitting down and taking time to talk with us today. This is Women's History Month, and you have both made some history in our court as the longest-serving female judges currently on the bench. Judge Sutula, you joined the bench in 1991. Judge Saffold, you took the oath of office in 1995. So that's about 30 years each on the bench. Does it seem like it's been that long?
No, not to me.
It does to me, because I think I see things changing, and I think that the system is changing, the administration of justice is changing, and it does require some ability to look at the media and find out what you're supposed to be doing and stuff like that. So I've seen some changes.
I've seen the same kind of changes, but it doesn't make it. I don't believe it's been 33 years. It seems like yesterday. I have enjoyed this job tremendously, but I would say some of the changes that we're seeing right now, I'm glad I'm retiring because I don't agree with all of them, and I am very concerned about the future of our Constitution and our ability to protect the defendant's rights as they come into a courtroom, especially in a criminal charge.
Judge Saffold, so you've actually been a judge longer because you spent time on another bench before this one, right?
Yes, on the Cleveland Municipal Court for 7 years.
So put all together,
37 years.
it doesn't seem that long, or it does seem that long?
It does, because I'm seeing people's kids and even my kids. So it does seem like I've been here a long time.
As far as women in the justice system, what are the biggest changes that you two have seen since you took the bench or even started in law school?
They're allowed to wear slacks.
Couldn't do it when we first started to practice.
And we couldn't do it here when I started here. We wore suits and skirts and dresses. And I started over in federal court, and there was no way you could walk into the building in slacks, ever.
Well, I think that now, because there's been more women that have joined, I think that, first of all, I'm a feminist. So I think that women have a tendency to look harder at the issues. I think they research more. I think that they commit themselves more to what they're supposed to be doing. And I think that in their minds, they're saying to themselves, I can't make a mistake. And I think that you see that in their administration of justice. I think they try harder because it's new to them. So I think that, but I think that we have a great bench, both men and women. And I think we have a diverse bench in the type of women that we have and the different personalities and backgrounds. So I think that that's enriching.
So our bench is basically half women. So what do you attribute this gender equity that we're seeing?
Well, I think Shirley's absolutely right, and I think the voters see that. When I campaigned, many times the voters would say, I always vote for women. And I would say to them, please look at who you're voting for, whether they're male or female. Just make sure that you agree with them and that they have a good work ethic and that they will be fair and honest, whether they're male or female. But I do think women have a better rapport, if you will, overall with the voters. I think the voters still recognize that women do put more of themselves into their work, into their research, into their arguments, and like Shirley said, they don't want to make a mistake, because I think they all realize they are the role model for future women and their daughters and their siblings, etc.
Early in your careers, was it harder going to law school, being a lawyer, becoming a judge because you were women? And how did you manage the career and job at that time?
Well, we actually came up into practice together. We were in law school together. We've had marriages together. We've had
divorces together, children together.
We've had children together, divorces together, deaths together, all those kind of things. So our experiences are probably comparable in terms of the way we had to approach things. And really, strangely enough, we basically see a lot of issues the same way. So we're kind of closely tied in the way that we view a lot of issues, even though we're not of the same.
Our party affiliation is different, but I think on social issues we're quite the same. And I think we're also quite the same on law and order. I think we're both conservative when it comes to protecting the public. And yet on social issues, I think we're both open to new ideas, to new ways of doing things, and certainly to any minority, whether it be on race or sexual affiliation. I think we're quite equal in how we view those kind of issues.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There are a lot of women who are considered trailblazers in the legal world. So who are some of the women you admired when you were starting your careers? So who are your legal heroes?
Ann Aldridge was a professor at our law school, and she taught constitutional law, and then she became a federal judge. And it wasn't only what I saw her accomplish, she had a list of accomplishments when women were not accepted even into law schools. I believe she was one of 2 women in her law school, which I can't remember right now. Was it Harvard?
Harvard.
I thought it was either there or Yale. And she was a top woman in the JAG Corps, even though she was not military like today we would call it, but she was in the JAG Corps. She also was a director, I think it was a director, I'm not sure of the title, with the Federal Communications Agency, when no women had risen to that level in the federal government.
I have 3. I have Judge Sarah Harper, Judge Lillian Burke, who swore me in the first time I was sworn in. And I think in many ways, Ellen Connolly. And the reason is because I think that as a Black judge, I needed somebody to show me what to do and give me an image that I should try to perfect, and to also encourage me. And all 3 of them were like that, and particularly Lillian Burke, who was very proper and very different from me. But she was also very inclusive. And when she saw potential in you, she would adopt you and sort of take you and help you. And, you young lady, you shouldn't do that, like that. So I thought that I found her to be very, very interesting and influential in my life.
With you both retiring at the end of this year, it's hard to believe, isn't it? What do you see your legacies as being? You talked about Lillian Burke, you talked about Judge Aldrich. What do you see your legacies?
I haven't considered that, to tell you the truth. I think that hard work pays off, and as you know, I think the last elected Republican in Cuyahoga County, certainly the last elected Republican on our bench, and I don't think I get elected because of my party affiliation, and of course I haven't lost because of it. I think that the voters know when someone is a hard worker, an honest worker, because my family and I worked very, very hard to get known to the voters, to earn their votes. So I hope that the judges on the bench will go out and meet the public and find out what the public likes and doesn't like, knows and doesn't know. Because the further you get away from the public, I believe it's the further you get away from being an honest, fair, and just arbitrator. so to speak, because you have to know the mood of the people. Like right now, it's changing. People don't want to see all the crimes that we have on the books. There's crimes such as marijuana. They're decriminalizing many of the crimes that we have right now, and I think that's important to go out to the public and, you know, hear their side of it, because just listening to someone who's charged with a crime, it doesn't tell the whole picture of the community, in my book.
I'm going to move in a different direction. I am the longest serving Black judge ever in Cuyahoga County, and I'm the first woman to be elected president of the American Judges Association. Yee-hoo. At any rate, I did a lot of things. I was also the first woman president of the Ohio Racquetball Association, and I like to be remembered for that because that gave me a competitive spirit. And I was a runner, and I was a competitive tennis player. I'm a competitive golfer. So I would like to be remembered for all those kind of things. I would like young women to look and say, if I compete, I can compete here. If I want to be president of a national organization, look what she did. I can do that too. If I want to serve for a long time, I can serve for a long time. So those are the things, the positive things that I would like to leave as an influence for young women coming along. And some men too, I mean, you know.
That brings me to my next question. What would be your advice to young women who are looking to start law school?
Study hard. I think that you, I think that you need to study hard. I think that you have to be a reader. I think that you have to be committed. I think that you have to be committed to working hard as well as studying hard. And I think that you gotta say to yourself, there's still that thing out there where women are not accepted as the leaders in like courtroom litigation. And you gotta be able to say to yourself, I have to commit myself to the point that I can obtain that position rightfully, not just as a fill-in. I think that more women should be recognized because of their ability to practice law.
I think that anyone going into law school should start making their name at law school. You know, by being prepared all the time, reading everything that is assigned to you, including the little footnotes that are on almost every page as you go through. And I would say many of the students don't read everything. And I think they lose out a lot in like law review and moot court. I did those. I was competitive in law school with those things. And that gave me a lot of confidence.
Is there anything we haven't discussed regarding your careers, Women's History Month, that you would like to add?
I'd like to add that I think that the practice of law has always been recognized as an honorable profession. I think that it still is. I don't like what I see developing now in the courts and the attack on judges. I found that, you know, we have 34 judges in this building, and I found that most of them do their very best on cases, and they try to apply the law to the facts as they find them. They try to administer a sentence that they think is fair. It's not always the sentence I would give, and it's not the sentence, I don't give the sentence that they would give. But you can look at it and reasonably say, okay, I see how they came to that conclusion. I think this thing where you see people attacking judges, I just think that that's unfair. I don't think that that should be allowed. I definitely don't think lawyers should be allowed to do it. There is a restriction on lawyers attacking judges that way, and I think it ought to be enforced. I just think that it's unfair, and I think that it's not realistic, and I don't think that it's honest. I think that this is still an honorable profession, and I think that we need to be perceived that way. And I think that more judges need to object to what's developing.
I agree with that as well, but I would go a little further and say there is a restriction on judges. We cannot refer the public to a certain lawyer. We can't disparage a lawyer that practices in our room. And the same is true for the lawyers. They can't disparage judges. And when a lawyer does disparage judges, I think it casts a pall over the whole society and makes society fearful of resolving their controversies in a court of law. I think we need a Supreme Court that applies the rules fairly, whether you're in a large county like ours or small 2-judge county. The rules should be the same in both places. And I see that that's been eroded for the last couple of years. And that's what makes the practice of law, I think, very interesting, is that you can arrive at different paths to the resolution of a case.
Well, I'd just like to add to what Kathy just said. I think that we're seeing the Ohio Supreme Court move closer to that than what we had previously. I think Justice Kennedy has been very fair. I think that she's looking at all the facts, and I think that she's not biased or prejudiced for or against anybody, and I welcome her. Unfortunately, she's just coming as I'm leaving, but
yeah, I agree.
But I welcome what she's done and the way she looks at cases, and I think that it's much more pleasant. It's welcomed.
We get our direction from the Supreme Court on many of the ministerial and statistical indicators, and now we're learning them because Justice Kennedy wants everyone to turn out a fair, productive, and efficient process.
So you two have been friends since law school.
Yes.
There have got to be some stories.
There's
We're not
plenty.
going to tell those. We went to Alaska together. We're not telling all
There's
those.
plenty of them. Yeah, we've been through a lot of life experiences together, and we've always been supportive, and we've always been there for each other.
Shirley's been my rock.
And she has been mine. We've gone through family crises together, and I mean, we've really seen each other hit rock bottom emotionally, and it's always been confidential.
And when I'm in a tough spot and I don't know what to do, Shirley is the one that always gets me on the right track and to the best response that I could have for the situation. I definitely rely on Shirley a lot.
And who had the better grades in law school?
She did.
No, I don't know why you say that.
Oh, you did.
I don't know that I did. I don't know. I love
She was
law
on
school.
what's that thing?
Moot court.
Moot court, and
Law
you
review.
want law review. Moot court doesn't count. Law review
Oh,
counts.
I think moot court was a better experience, and that's what I would tell students too, because you have to stand up and argue your case in front of people that are either they're practicing attorneys like Jerry Gold and Rotatory and all those greats that are no longer with us. They were our judges when we had to practice or get ready for a competition.
Well, Judge Kathleen Sutula, Judge Shirley Strickland Saffold, thank you both for taking the time today, and thank you both for your 30-plus years of service to the people of Cuyahoga County.
Thank you,
Thank
Derek.
you.